So when the idea of shooting a documentary about somebody in my life who is very interesting to say the least and has been very influential in my life came about, I can only think of one person. The biggest Yankee fan I know. He lives in the heart of Red Sox country, but he's been a Yankees fan his entire life. I'm proud to say he's my grandfather and one of my best friends. Yes, I am talking about you. And he is the #1 grandpa, according to that golf ball. And today, I'll be taking you guys on a tour of my grandfather's very entertaining life.
Morning, Danny. How are you this morning?
Very good. How are you?
School this morning?
Not too bad. I actually went to class today.
Good. You know, a question that always comes up in my life is, because being, like you said, I'm deep in Red Sox territory, is why am I a Yankee fan? Like, I've thought about it from time to time, and the answer I come up with is when I started following baseball in the late 30s, probably around 38, 39, somewhere in that time frame, Joltin' Joe DiMaggio was the greatest Yankee.
I can tell you practiced.
Was the greatest Yankee in that time element, and Joe was Italian, and I am Italian, and most people who were Italian background at that time were following not the New York Yankees, but Joe DiMaggio, because of our background and family histories of being Italian. So I started following him late 38, 39, and I can almost remember the first time I ever heard him on radio, the game on radio. It was the World Series. And back in those days, if your parents had a car on Sunday afternoon in the countryside...
Did you have your license?
No, I didn't drive. I was a tad young. I was probably 9 or 10. And we would go and get ice cream and so forth. And first game I ever heard was the World Series. And I can't remember whether it was the Cardinals or the Cincinnati Reds. But anyway, that's when I started following baseball. And I have been a diehard Yankee fan since that time. And probably in my lifetime I've seen the Yankees win at least 18 World Championships out of the 27.
I think you've seen all 27. You just don't want to gloat about it.
Nah, I'd have to go back to Babe Ruth. I'm a little, not quite that old. So do you have any other questions of me, Dan? Or you want to walk me through some of my thoughts?
Well, yeah. First of all, I just wanted to ask you what you're going to be taking us on a tour of today. How you're going to explain how your life is so interesting and everything like that. Well, what are your ideas for the day? Or are those big surprises?
No, we're sort of going to play this one by ear, which I do a lot.
Oh.
Guess what? We're going to start where else but in Yankee Stadium. This is the book on the old Yankee Stadium that we just torn down recently. And if you look inside the book, Joltin' Joe just keeps on delivering. And that is probably one of the greatest records in baseball history, and I question if you will ever see it broken. That's when he put 56-game hitting streak together. And then when it was broken, then he turned around, and I think he got another 18 after that. But anyway, I used to follow all his games on my little radio. And back in those days...
On your Sunday afternoon card rides?
Yeah. Midwest was about as far as the game. There was no Major League Baseball played on the West Coast. I mean, you had the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago White Sox, the Tigers, and so forth out in the Midwest. And I used to follow all his games. And I listened to the game when they were playing Cleveland when the record was stopped. When they stopped him from going on.
You want to take me on a tour of everything else?
Okay, so that was how we started. Now, while we were talking about Yankee Stadium, I have an interesting story about this gentleman.
Your hero?
My hero. I really didn't say everything I said. And, you know, it was a story I had heard for a long, long time. It was a story I had heard for a long, long time, and I never really knew if it was true or not. But when they were closing old Yankee Stadium a few years ago, Whitey Ford and Yogi Berra were guests on the show. And Whitey Ford proceeds to tell the following story. He was pitching, and the first batter came up, he hit him with the first pitch. Second batter came up, he hit him with the first pitch. The third batter came up, he hit him with the first pitch. Now he had the bases loaded, and he's only thrown 3 pitches. The next batter comes up, first pitch, he hits a grand slam home run. And then Whitey proceeds to say, Casey Stedman comes running out of the dugout, calls time, turns to Yogi and says, "What's he throwing?" And Yogi said, "I don't know, I haven't caught anything yet." This shirt goes back to 1951, and it's Yogi Berra, number 8.
Now, who got you that shirt?
That shirt came from somebody I know quite well. I think his name is DC, Danny Charles.
Very incredibly handsome grandson, right?
You got it. And this is a Hall of Famer, and I probably will never wear it because I don't want to do anything to ruin it.
At least you wore the jacket.
Yes, I do. I wear the jacket, which, as you can see, says Yankees on it.
Take me on a tour of some other things really quickly.
Okay, now, here's something interesting that somebody gave me. We won't mention his name, Danny, but...
The incredibly handsome grandson, right?
Real Baseball. Notice how it's spelled R-E-E-L, not R-E-A-L. And this is a fascinating book because it has a DVD inside it. And it gives you the highlights of baseball going back into the 20s all the way up to when the book was published. And anybody who loves baseball, this would be a nice collection because it covers all the superstars of baseball. The Joe DiMaggios, the Ted Williams, the Cardinals greats.
Bob Gibson?
Well, I don't know if Gibson, he might be in here.
He might be.
Might be. Stan Musial, Hank Greenberg, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. It's really, and the DVD is great because it covers a lot of the All-Star games, World Series games.
See, we got a couple Yogi Berra books. We have a couple Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
Then I think this is probably the coolest thing.
Well, now we're getting to the current group of Yankees who probably, these two are Hall of Famers. As we know, the great Mario Rivera, one of the greatest relievers of all times.
The all-time saves leader.
He'll be a Hall of Famer. And of course, Derek Jeter, who shortstop for the New York Yankees and won 4 World Series. These two have been in 4 World Series that they won, and he'll be an all-star. And then here we have, of course, the great Mickey Mantle, who I had a chance to see play in Boston when he first broke in. And Joe D was still playing then. Great ball player. And we got Yogi Berra's autographed hat.
A little bit dusty.
A little dusty. Dusty Trails. And of course this came from Cooperstown.
I remember that day. That was one of the best days.
One thing about him, when I was growing up, I did grow up. Back then we had local teams. We had the Pawtucket Slaters, we had the Cranston Chiefs, Lynn Red Sox, and the Nashville Dodgers. Those are 4 teams I remember. They used to play over here in McCoy Stadium. Yogi Berra, when he was breaking in, was playing for the Cranston Chiefs, so I saw him play. I saw 2 great Dodgers play before they went up to the majors. Roy Campanella and Don, what was his last name? No, anyway.
Don Larson?
No, it wasn't Don Larson. Well, anyway, there were 2.
We can always cut this part out.
Yeah. It'll come to me. I'm having a senior moment. So we did get to see a lot of great ball players, but in this area. And then, of course, we had a chance to go up to Fenway Park a lot, and we saw a lot of great Red Sox ball players. Ted Williams, Johnny Pesky, Bobby Doerr. Joe's little brother Dominic.
Dominic.
There's an interesting thing at this. When Joe was playing, of course he overshadowed his other brothers, there were 3 DiMaggios playing in the major leagues at the same time. And I don't know if that's part of history or whether or not any other brothers have done that. But you had Joe playing for New York, Dom for Boston, and Vince was playing, I believe, for Pittsburgh Pirates. So
You say you know your stuff. Probably all came from all these books and everything over here.
I just remember as a kid that they used to talk about that. Hi, now we've completed our tour of Yankee Stadium. I thought maybe we could spend some time on a little tour of the city of Pawtucket and give you an insight in what a typical day of Grampy might be like since he's been retired. We're going to go through some of the scenic areas that I'm quite familiar with and kind of give you the highlights as we go along.
And he's paying too.
And who's paying?
You're paying.
And I'm paying too.
So here we are in the Grampy Mobile, about ready to start our adventure and our journey through the city of Pawtucket. So Grampy, where are we going to go?
Hi Dan, how you doing again? We're on a tour of a lot of Dunkin' Donut and Honeydew and McDonald's stops. We're going to start today with the Honeydew that I use when I'm going each province way, and I go out Newport Avenue, and then from there, then we'll work backwards. And as we go along, I'll kind of clue you into which one we're going to and why, and the reason why I use that particular one, because I do have particular donut shops that I use for different occasions.
All right, sounds good.
Are you ready to roll?
Ready to roll.
Okay, here we go.
All right, so we have arrived at stop number 1 on the tour. Honeydew Donuts. Right now. And I was saying in the car, we probably should have just left the camera on because we would have had the entire documentary done on the ride over. All right, you ready to take us on a tour?
Right. Okay, this is get a little closer here. We almost got scratched. Okay, we're at one of my favorite Honeydew donut shops. If I get errands heading out over towards East Providence or Providence, I'll stop here and I'll either get a hot coffee or I'll get my favorite iced coffee, medium. And
Today we're making it a large though.
And their specialty, which I love, is their apple turnover. So it'll probably be iced coffee with an apple turnover. Sometimes I pick up the Valley Breeze here. So this will be my first stop. People probably wonder, how come, you got to know all these places? Well, when I was retired and working part-time for EDP, I knew where a lot of the coffee shops were because that's on my route. I used to stop and tank up, as they say in the trade.
All right, there it is. The apple turnover and the iced coffee. And the very, very happy Grampy.
Good.
We already took a break while shooting. What are you doing? All right, on to our next stop.
Like a geese going over.
People are going to think we're nuts. This is good, though. And we're here at stop number 2, my grandfather's favorite Dunkin' Donuts. They're probably thinking, what are these two crazy guys doing recording our Dunkin' Donuts? So you want to tell me about this one?
Yeah, this is my Saturday, Sunday Dunkin' Donuts. Grammy happens to like the coffee here, the hot decaf that I get for her, medium size. So when we're going to have coffee on those days, I scoot down here and I get my coffee filled and I go home with her good hot decaf coffee, black. And that's basically most of the time that I use this particular Dunkin' Donuts. As you can see, I categorize them and put them in catalog.
People are gonna think these two nuts out taping Dunkin' Donuts, and no, this is not a Naked Gun Leslie Nielsen movie. Like, I know those are your favorites, but this is actually for homework.
This is homework.
And
what the event?
And what we were saying earlier, no, not the flock of geese.
Flock of geese have run out of.
But we were saying earlier, if we would have got hit by that car, or we were backing up on the way over and we almost get hit again, be doing my homework from the hospital.
Yeah, it would have been a broken arm, broken leg, and traction.
Probably wouldn't have got an A, that's for sure.
That's
all right,
sure.
On to stop number 3 on our great tour.
Okay, so hang on there. We're moving out.
Han James.
Here we go.
And here we are, stop number 3 on our Odyssey with Grampy, taking us on a tour of, I guess we can't call it a day in the life because there'd be a lot of coffee for one guy. But
yeah, it is, but I definitely worked this one in a lot. This is an upscale Dunkin' Donuts. They have a lot of things in here that most other Dunkin' Donuts don't have, and one of their favorites, and my favorite, and I think you've had it too.
I've had it more than a couple times, thanks to you.
Apple fritter. They have the most delicious apple fritters you've ever had. And so I'll stop here again, getting either an iced coffee or a hot coffee with my apple fritter. So, and I use this Dunkin' Donuts when I'm willing to stop and shop over and back here, or if I'm heading up to towards BJ's or Walmart's or up on Route 1, or going up to Hess to get gas for my car. So this is one of my favorites. The car is automatically goes there. It doesn't need to be programmed. It just knows from experience that when we go by this Dunkin' Donuts, we have to pull in and stop. It's just one of those things.
Natural instinct.
It's great to be retired because I'm becoming a connoisseur of coffee shops.
All right.
Which started when I was working at part-time for automatic data processing.
So stop number 4?
We're now heading to stop number 4, which is when you want to get a delicious breakfast. This is where you're going to go. Okay,
all right.
And we're off and running.
We're rolling. Stop number 4. We are live from Grampy's car. Stop number 4. This is the McDonald's on Route 1, where you get your breakfast, right?
Well, one of the reasons I come here is they have pancakes, which I love their pancakes. And you can get pancakes here all day long. You don't have to be here for 10:30 to get the pancakes. You can get them anytime you want. And now they have them with 2 or 3 pieces of bacon with them. So I come here and I get my fix for pancakes and bacon and a nice cup of coffee. And that is my favorite treat out of this particular McDonald's. And I will come up here for that particular breakfast regardless of where I'm going, because none of the other McDonald's, for whatever reason, they just don't have them. But
and the funny thing is, we will never show Graham this video ever. So,
there's a story that goes along with these pancakes, but that's okay.
Because she says, all right, go to Stop and Shop and get something for me, and then we end up going to McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts. So Graham can never know about this video, right?
Oh, she'll know about it.
She'll probably be the biggest fan. All right.
So
that's good enough. And the question was raised: are we having fun yet?
Are we having fun? Does in the woods? Not if he's a polar bear.
I think we're having fun. Have any more stops for us to go to?
Huh?
Any more?
Not really, unless you want to do Cumberland or Woonsocket or North Smithfield
or Connecticut or New York.
When I was working for ADP, I had a lot of northern stops I used to go to. This is my southern route now.
Only so many hours in the day.
This is true.
We are now home on 34 Lindesta Ave, one of my favorite places to be. And we've taken our tour with the man that they call Grampy. So you want to tell us a little bit more before the production is ended?
Well, I'm pretty tired now. It's been a very long day. I mean, we started this project about 11:45 this morning, and now it's about 2 o'clock. I think it's probably time for me to go and have a nippy nap on the bed and go to bed.
Well, I just want to say thank you for doing this. Thank you for taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule and showing us all around. It's been an honor to, end up being back where we started, obviously. We did it safely.
Wow.
And we didn't get the police called on us either, like we thought we were going to get.
Seriously, all kidding aside, Danny, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I sincerely hope everybody enjoyed our tour of the donut shops and the McDonald's, and they understand. It's nice when you retire. These are things you can do without worrying about, being in certain places at certain times.
Being a nice neighbor.
Yeah, right.
So what do you think we deserve on this project?
Me personally, another cup of honeydew.
I only have so much money.
Over would be great. No, you should get 8+.
All right, well, thank you. Well, that concludes our tour today with one of my best friends and my grandfather. It's been fun, and time to go inside and take a nap. We have one more thing to say.
P.S. Watch out for the ducks.
Have a good day, Gramps.
We had two highlights today. Both occurred at the honeydew that we first stopped at. One was Grampy was getting out of the car, and he was crossing the parking lot without looking. He almost got scratched for the day. And the other was when a flock of ducks came over while we were recording.
What?
Huh?
When the flock of ducks. Oh man, my thing's broken. It doesn't work.
Let's look, maybe listen to that one. The flock of ducks came over. We were trying to record inside the car. It was very difficult for us.
Good.
We already took a break while shooting. What are you doing? All right, on to our next stop.
Like a geese going over.